Today we're going to be talking about the most important extracurricular activities for your college application. This applies to pretty much everyone, applying to anywhere in the world. For example, the UK, they don't particularly have a big emphasis on extracurriculars, but they too want to see a very holistic application. And the US is actually infamous for wanting to see extracurriculars and not only your personal statement or your grades, because they want to see how good you perform in a particular field, especially in the real world with real world experience. So first of all, in your college list, and in case you don't know, the US, for example, they want 10 extracurricular activities with 5 awards that you've won. The best is to have as many international awards you can through competitions and things like that. But let's talk about extracurriculars which you can participate to win in and which you can do that will probably help make your application better. Number one is a bit obvious, and we had an whole podcast on this 2 weeks ago, which is the importance of leadership in your extracurriculars. So first off would be having leadership roles. So this gives your college application a big boost, and colleges are looking for students who have a good experience with leadership roles. This can be student council positions, being a team captain, editor of the newspaper, things along the lines. If you have an NGO, which the US, kind of loves, then if you're the one who initiated it, or you're the president, the vice president, or the director of a particular category, be it media, be it HR, whatever, they love to see you handle things and they want to see you be someone who's really organized and sorted. Now, before I kind of go into the deeper bits of this podcast, I really want to draw an emphasis on that you should always do your extracurriculars based off of your career of choice. You can't be doing a lot of debates and then wanting to go into STEM, because it's good to have a whole holistic part of your application being brought forward for the universities to see that I am really good with STEM stuff, my grades and etc. things show that, but I am also good at, for example, debating. It shows there's more to you. However, each activity can't be based on debates. You need to show that if you want to go into engineering, that you're good with, technical stuff like that. So kind of make sure that if you want to go into business, then you're doing business competitions and not literature competitions, because that doesn't quite make sense. Now, number 2 would be sports. Now, sports show a willingness to collaborate with others and participating in also healthy and physical activities. So this can also be leadership roles, and they can be achieved through being a sports captain, a vice captain. And sports are also really good to show that you're a very holistic person. Again, if you want to go into STEM, you want to become a doctor, it can show that there's that side of you, but there is still more to you as a person. There's more substance to your whole application. And then you can dive into competitions you've won. If you played at national level, school level, international level, things like that, those things speak out a lot. So definitely try from MYP 4 or 9th grade, basically, to get yourself into international competitions, because they hold so much weightage. Number 3 would be starting an NGO or a business, basically an initiative. I say that because it shows that you have entrepreneurial skill and leadership skills, but for whatever thing that you're applying for. For example, I had a business which started when I was around 10 years old, and I'm 17 now, so it's been going on for 7 whole years. If it's been going on since MYP 4 onwards, then it's valid enough to talk about. The longer you have worked on a particular activity, the better it looks, be it an internship that was for multiple months, things like that, because not only does it show that you're consistent and organized for something, but it also backs up your points for being passionate for that field. Now, I want to apply as a business major. So me having a business kind of is very directly proving the fact that I've had an acumen for this since a very young age, and through my other internships and extracurriculars it's only developed. So that's like the story that I'm going to be bringing forward during my own application time. So that's a way you can kind of thread everything together. Next up, we have arts. So show that you have a more creative side to yourself and your overall profile. This could be being into playing instruments, being into singing, theater, drawing, painting, or making crafts. Because this shows that, for example, I heard something about someone's college application. They wanted to major into mathematics, but then there's a part of their essays or their activities where they discuss that person really loves pottery. And it's like, think about it, maths and pottery, they don't go together in any world. But then you think about the fact that it shows a lot about you as a person. It's like that shows that you're a very analytical person. However, there's a side to you that's also very artistic. That shows an insane range and versatility to have in oneself, because you're good with math and STEM stuff, yet you still have an artistic touch to you. So arts is actually something great that you should be pursuing as maybe like kind of like a side hustle or side passion project. Now, passion projects are very important to have in your application because they show, but again, it should be in line with your career path, because it will show your dedication to it and it'll show that you are very motivated to pursue this, because colleges want to see that you're motivated, and hence you've in the past 4 years of your high school have worked towards building your acumen more for something. So if you're into arts, you can definitely do something with an art project, or you could do that as a side thing to show that there's more to you than just the major you're applying for. Another one would be community service. Now, community service shows you have impacted your community for the better by volunteering in old homes for the underprivileged or serving meals. Community service can be done in many ways. If you had a local crisis, then maybe you did a donation drive, a bake sale in school for something. That is very basic, but of course you can start off with something and build it towards something much bigger to show that you are somebody who is empathetic and is someone who's very caring towards the environment, or towards the community, of course, which is very important, because they don't just want to see kind of somebody who's like a bookworm and a nerd who's studying all the time to get the perfect scores, but also somebody who has a genuine personality and they are actually making an impact around themselves. For example, this podcast of mine is an extracurricular of mine, and it too is something that I hope can kind of help like my school community. And like when I was in MYP, there weren't a lot of IB resources for MYP. There were still for DP. But if you look at other education streams like OA levels, high GCSE, they have tons of like past papers and things like that online. IB does too, but quite the fraction of what's available for other streams. So this is kind of my way of hoping to help students like me who had an issue with finding resources. So you can obviously connect these things in your essays for you to kind of show your thought process behind why you started a particular project. And no, my podcast isn't a community service, but community service could be doing a tree plantation drive, doing volunteer work at an orphanage or something, because that's something that really shows a very personal side. So definitely do community service. Lastly, I want to discuss academic clubs. So academic clubs are really important because they demonstrate your interest in learning aside from school. This can be participating in chess clubs, debates, MUNs, maybe after school clubs, which are more again sports related or activity based, like learning to play an instrument, because it shows your passionate side towards things that interest you, and how you can have a hobby but you want to take it to the next level. For example, if you're really into culinary things and you really like to maybe cook, then you could participate in a cooking class, and then you can start an Instagram account or something where you make short reels or something for telling people about how you really like to cook and showing cooking videos and stuff. So there's so many, that's not exactly an academic club, that's more of like a passion project. But academic clubs are very important because they show your dedication to learning outside of the classroom. Best way to go about it is, again, doing debates and MUNs, chess clubs, and these type of things. They come off as very sophisticated in your application, and they show that you have a very it can show that you're one for leadership. And I know I mentioned leadership so much because it's just really important, but it also shows that you're someone who does a lot of critical thinking and things along the lines, because chess and debating, they kind of bring those sides out of you. It shows that you're a good speaker, you're a part of the community, you're someone who wants to maybe make a change, hence you're very passionate about these type of things. So here were about 6 extracurriculars which I genuinely think are very, very important. Of course, your internships and these type of things, they're very important. So is your community service. You should show all of these things in your 10 activities. And you can also do research projects and internships, which I know is very basic, and I've also discussed, not basic per se, but I've discussed that in my previous episodes, but let me just kind of reinstate what I said back then. Research papers are so important, and colleges are going crazy after them these days. Work with, either you could just start your own research project. There is a whole episode out on how to create a research project, so do check that out. But you can literally create a research project on anything. In the IB, in the DP, you're going to be required to write your 4,000 word long extended essay. And for your extended essay, you can just make sure you get done with it as soon as possible. And you have to obviously ensure the quality is A level. And then you can publish it somewhere. You can ask around connections that you have so you can get it published, because getting an article or research just being published in some publication comes off so good in your application. So do definitely check that out. And of course, do internships. I know this is a bit crazy. I've done 9 internships, and a lot of people look at me like I'm insane, but honestly, not only are they good for your application, but they're so good to broaden your horizon to different things. I did an internship last year, and I had so much fun that it made me more passionate to pursue marketing and business, because I had some real world experience working in an office and having a boss and everything, and I actually enjoyed it. So these things, they also help you cross-check if you actually have acumen and if you're actually built for a particular career stream. Because sometimes we think, oh yeah, in theory, sure, why not? But when the practicality comes ahead, then you're just like, no, this actually isn't for me. And if you're going to the US, you'll be lucky enough to change your major. But if you're applying to, I'm not sure about Canada exactly, but if you're applying to the UK, then they don't let you change your major. You're stuck with whatever you want to study and what you committed to. So this has, the episode for really important extracurricular activities that will come off and rub off really well on your application. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, you can, of course, message me on Instagram on the IB Odyssey podcast.